Okay, everybody, welcome to the weekly webinar recording for this week because of Labor Day. Hope everybody's enjoying their hip hip hurrah, last hurrah for the summer. I'll be packing up the beach house over the weekend and heading back to New York for for the winter. So for me, it's a little bit bittersweet. So everyone, I guess, doesn't really love the end of summer, but hey, it is what it is. So let's get down to work. Let's take a look. Over here on the weekly charts for ES, you can see that we've made a new all-time high. We're into zero resistance. We're like, in outer space. There's no gravity. Just keep going, baby. So, at that point, we're just looking at, buy pullbacks into demand. The fact that we've made a new high now means we actually have a new weekly demand. We haven't put one on in there in a while. Might as well put it on right now. The nice little doji over here. Looks like a pretty good spot when we decide finally at some point to do a back test. Likely spot right around 2,800 for something like that. But for now, we're just chugging away. So it's buy the pullbacks into demand and let them go until we start making lower highs someplace. So you can see we're actually, after Friday's, it's actually Thursday's little sell-off, we're back into the doji level, and today we're rallying, and have a nice little green close with engulfing over 240. So holiday weekend pop coming again, and that's the buy and pullbacks into demand. Let's look at some of the levels I've marked off for us over here. Looks like we're actually just rallying out of one right now. That was a level from yesterday that we've gotten down into. It looks like it banged a double tap. After that, you could see demand, and up there, that's just the all-time high 917.50. So that's our ES charts for now. Let's take a look at the NASDAQ. And same idea. We've broken out of this little wedge thing we had going on over here on the weekly chart. At some point, we'll probably do a back test. But for now, until it starts showing weakness, there's no reason to be short. You should not be short. Stop shorting and start thinking about buying pullbacks into demand, because that's what's working. Okay. There's a new level now as well up here on the daily chart with this little doji candle from like Wednesday, I think that was, over here. And, the target that I tweeted out about a week or so ago is within striking distance at this point. There's the fib extension into the 100%. It's very possible we get beyond that, but for now, that's probably where I'd be looking to trim some of the longs or expect a pullback and use that to get into to a long position again. But that's what we're looking at so far. And some levels to point out over here. Let's take a look at our 60 chart. So we've been dancing up this long-term trend line over here. It looks like not such a long term, but this one down over here is what was this little trend line back here. And then, we banged on it over here. We're banging on over here again. So it's doing its job. As far as new demand zones, there's one other than the one I've got already on the chart over here. But, there's one that's sitting right over here. It's pretty close to where we are, so I didn't draw it. It was level on level. And until we make a new high out of this low, I'm not drawing this zone yet. So there's really not much in the way as far as, if it decides to sell off. At this point, it's not. It did make the lower high, but it never made the lower low. So, just keep buying the pullbacks until it doesn't work. Okay. So that's what we got on our equities. FYI, if you've been with me for a while, you remember back in March or so when we were selling off, and I said long new all-time highs right back over here someplace. That's quite a while back, and it worked out really well for anybody who decided to take a long-term position on long options. I know a bunch of people have, and they're emailing me about them, so good for you. I'm really glad. So cool. At this point, there's no reason to think it's going to stop at any point soon. So I'll let you know when we start to see weakness. For now, nothing. What we got over here is a very interesting week for crude. This is you can see that we've had, this little trend line thing going over here. We have this supply zone that was created on the way down. This drop off the highs, And this was the back test right into the supply, right to the breakdown almost of the level of the trend line, and what could potentially turn into this lower high. It hasn't done it yet. No question that crude this week and last week, for that matter, has been rallying after the pullback into this demand over here at 66 and change. It came to back test 70. And this is a major inflection point over here. If we're able to pop through up here, it's possible that we get new highs, but I really don't think we're going to see that. I'm more than likely expecting that this level, this supply that we're looking at over here, is going to hold. This supply zone, the weekly supply, the daily supply, is going to hold, and it's actually going to create that lower high, potentially a little head and shoulders going on over here, right? When we turn this around, and that's going to bring us down to 60. That's where I think we're headed. So, the longs this week were definitely the way to go, no question about that. But at this point, I would be cautious. I'd be closing longs. I'd start to think shorts on smaller time frames when we start to get some weakness onto the charts. So for now, we're banging up here, up at this level on the 60, and we're just sitting right inside the demand. We already have the lower high. We have no lower lows, and it's just flotsing around. So there's where the demand is. Expecting the supply over here where we're at already to hold. So that's what we got. I'll blow up the 60 chart for you there if you want for a second. Let's take a look where the supply is sitting at. So this is the 70. You can see all kinds of convergence going on over there. Right over here around the 70, 71 area. It's this supply zone back here. Should we sort of grind a little higher? But again, I'm thinking it's time to start thinking shorts for crude. I think we've been back tested enough that it's time for us to create this lower high here. So start thinking shorts for this coming week. I'll be looking for myself a swing entry into this level, which it's a shorts, off of a supply zone on the weekly chart. We're just still fighting trend over here on some of the smaller stuff, so it's not time yet, but it's coming. Expect something this week, hopefully, for an opportunity into something to bring us all the way back down to 60. That's crude. Let's take a look at gold. And this week, turned into a little bit of a red week for gold. Nothing major after the big pullback that's expected. We had a pretty nice pop early in the week, and we got all the way back to 1220, and then we pulled back, and I've added on to my swing position over here. You can see that we've just back tested basically into this doji right over here, and now the question is, okay, is this going to flag out and then turn around? Which I believe it is going to do that. But we'll find out. At this point, it's just sitting inside demand, and it's been going sideways for about a day and a half now. I think after yesterday, or was it yesterday? We'll check now. Which was that sell-off into that level of demand? It was actually 2 days ago, but we'll check it now. That one that I pointed out where we were talking about joining. So that was this is our 60 chart. Right, we've got the supply zone that was sitting over here. It made a little bit of a lower low, got back to the zone again. Now we're sort of building a higher low. So you can see that for the last day or so, it looks like we've been in this range of about $10. It's a pretty large range, but it's range bound, okay? And it's flagging around like crazy. You could see that, this trend line is actually extremely important, as is this one, right? Over here, you can see that we're sort of, right, support over here at this point. So it's sort of like a demand zone, but it's not straight, it's dynamic demand. And it seems to be working currently. Okay. Now this is the supply zone we want to pop. That was the most recent high. It's longs. We're looking for longs. Should we get through this low, then we'll have to talk. I think this is really the point. This trend line channel down here is not allowed to break anymore. Otherwise, we're really long, incorrect in the direction at this point. I think this is probably going to turn out to one of the better trades going into the the last quarter of the year. The long on gold. So pay attention. All right, this was the level I had tweeted out a bunch before, and I've added on to my position a little bit. And this is the zone. I'm going to zoom out a little bit over here. Let's get some more screen chart here. Let's zoom out a little. There we go. So this was the demand zone that I was tweeting out all week, and the entry into the zone. So it was yesterday. It's been holding ever since. Gave a nice long pop out of that, so no question about T1s. You should have all that off. And the question now just becomes, is it holding? Right? It looks like right now it is. We'll have to wait and see what happens after the weekend with the holiday weekend coming up. But for now, the long is still going, and continue to buy pullbacks into demand for gold. Okay, for swing trades, as we're looking at over here. There's some 15-minute levels there. Cool. Let's go look at the dollar. What happened this week? So it pulled back into the demand zone on the weekly chart. Okay, you can see that, and it popped a little bit, right? A little back test again after the base drop over here. We came into the demand over here, and now we sort of a little bit of a rally. You can see it almost got to the 240 supply. And this again should be the end of this little pop back test, and expect this to roll over from here and collapse. So that's what we're looking for coming up, which means we're looking for longs again in the euro after a beautiful, beautiful call, and then really nice rally, and then nice little inverted head and shoulders we got going on in the daily euro. Right, it looks even clearer on some of the other time frames. So we back tested. You can see we ran right into resistance at the bottom of the wedge breakout, and it pulled back, which is normal. Right after this massive move, it comes into some demand. We should expect this to hold, and the next one will get us going. So right now it's pulling back for the last 2 days, but it's time to think for long entry. It looks like we touched the outside of the 240 doji today, or just missed it by a tick or two. It looks like, yeah, just missed it right here. And it's time to look for longs again. If you're not in a euro long, it's time to think about getting long over here someplace. Okay, see if we can find something that looks good. You know, we had a pretty nice level today. We hit the 60 zone over here. So if anyone did that, the trend over here has actually flipped down. But for now, we pivot here and then lower lows, so it's down right now. It's in decent demand. You can see where it's at. Oops, I just moved the zone a little bit. I did the dot. But this is the level right here. Very nice demand zone. All the prior highs are sitting right there. There's the outside of the touch. That's the recent high. Boom, we're right into the zone. We're flagging right now, so anybody's bet, but it's in a location where we're interested in getting long, looking for the move into the 119, 120 area from here. Okay, so on the 15, it looks like we just popped up today into this little. We just missed it, right? That was the doji there, right around 116. Looks like it held, and we're looking for this to turn into a V bottom and see if it does or not. Okay, so pullbacks by the demand. Okay. Okay, Aussie dollar had an ugly week, really ugly week. So you can see that massive engulfing candle after these base. But, it took out the low, but not by that much. Most of the move actually happened over the last 2-3 days. All right, and we'll have to wait and see what happens, because we are in this demand zone over here. It's pretty fresh back here on the 240 and the daily. It's right under the last pivot. It's right inside some demand. So it's not a place where I want to be getting short anymore. That's for sure. I don't want to be long yet either, because now we're looking at a pretty pronounced downtrend on the smaller time frames. So, if there was still time in the day, this might be something that I would trade as far as a short-term, little double bottom type of V expectation over here, but it's nothing. Obviously, it's already 4 o'clock on Friday. So there's that. That's what we're looking at. So there's just shorts here until we start to see some strength for Aussie. BP hits the daily demand zone this week. You got a nice continuation of the green off the weekly demand. We come back to daily supply 2 days ago. All right, bang, bang, and the little pullback. So there's a lot of air over here. The question becomes, how far is the pullback going to go? So you see the prior highs are there, right over here, prior highs. We didn't get there just quite yet. That's the likely spot for the back test to come in. So see if we can find that level maybe on a 60 or something like that. So that's a problem. You see, there's all kinds of air. So the 60 doesn't have the zone, which means it's either not going to be there, which means it's going to really collapse down into here, or it's a smaller time frame zone where it is possible. It looks like there's something over here, and I actually have a zone down there on the 15. Let's go look at that. Now it looks like it was adjusted. So the zone was, like this, and then when we wicked into it, so just a little wick back, and then take out the bodies, and then that's what the zone becomes. So it's not a very strong zone at all. It's not something I would buy just yet. We'll have to wait and see what happens here. There's just too much air underneath. So, okay, pounds Canadian. There we go. And into weekly supply, and then rejection. So we get the twins over here on the Canadian. You have this engulfing candle up there, and then the pullback, sort of racing out most of the week and turning the week actually red. So there's that. We end up in some demand over here, still an uptrend, just to pull back into demand, right? And we'll have to wait and see if we can get this thing to turn around over here. So right now it's just pausing. Let's see what we got. Here's our 60. There's the supply zone. There's the demand zone. And this can be adjusted a little bit, a little tighter here. That's the supply there. Oh, I see what I did. I actually married the zones. That's why I did that. It's level on level over here with this, little inverted failed hammer over here thing. Continuation all the way down into the demand zone. So that's why I did that. And right now we're looking at a downtrend over here. So a nice steep pullback, looks like, and the level that had made the most recent high. So we'll see if it can hold or not. Again, this is just a wait and see game for this Canadian. Nice strong rejection there right at the end of the day. Looks like this supply just got hit. We'll take that off again. Okay. And JY, what do we got? So on the week of Doji, right? It's still looking like this demand zone on the daily chart is holding. We ended up, rally, drop base, drop, rally base. So this should hopefully turn around and get back up here, right? Because this is already in an uptrend. The daily, right? This was higher low, and then we made higher highs, and then we pulled back, and now we have a double bottom, and we're starting. So double bottom tend to, go back to point of origin. So somewhere up here, right? Is where we should see at least something, which means we're looking at this as the second part of the bottom, right? Which means the origin is up here, 9100, which means you should see a turnaround coming at some point. You can see somewhere over here, maybe around 9,000. There must be a really nice demand zone on a smaller time frame that would give us this move, which is what we're looking at. Okay? See where that is. Oh yeah, there it is. So there's JY on the 60. Hits the supply, perfect, beautiful. Right into the zone this morning, pull back. And the demand that I'm talking about is this one, right over here, right? That's where this is. So somewhere down here, we'll look for a chance potentially to get into a longer. This is in a downtrend currently. This is one move off the lows. So the longs are counter trend still. We'd have to wait and see what happens down inside this zone. Okay. All right, let's take a look at nat gas. I was looking for nat gas to sell off this week. Looks like I was wrong. Didn't go really any place. It just sold off pretty nicely and then turned in, a hammer at the end. Right, we started out with a nice bang, 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 and then a little back test into some gap area over here. It's looking like a little V bottom so far. Looks like it's probably in some kind of supply zone in a smaller time frame over here. If this becomes the lower high, then then we'll really get the next sell off. Well, see what happens here. Let's take a look at nat gas on the 60. So there's a little supply zone that I was looking at. There was this thing over here. All right, and looks like it got hit. Demand is still over here, so somewhere up here for the next potential short. This is currently in N. This is 60. Higher lows and then higher highs, so uptrend here. So the shorts actually are the counter trend move, and we'll wait and see how we open up next week before we make a call on that gas. Okay. Copper. Sort of erasing last week's candles. We got a nice little pullback over here. up again. It's looking a lot like the gold, right? It's coming back to the daily demand zone to test this little last part of this rally in the demand over here. It's all one move back. We're looking for this to hold and start to go this way. So we'll see how that plays out. Remember, it is a monthly supply zone. It's a weekly supply demand zone. I'm sorry, daily 240, higher time frame stuff. So there should be something here for us, okay, to hold this level and see if it starts to rally out of here. 60 level also, for that matter. There's the demand. It's touching out on top of these dojis, and yeah, looks like not ready for the longs yet, but potential to watch. Okay, so we're looking for longs eventually. And soy finally is starting to, there we go, engulfs 2 days worth. Look at the bottom being formed over here, taking out this. We have to clear this. So the long will happen after we hit this zone and then pull back and make a higher low. So it's just showing a little bit of life, right? It didn't break down again after this rally into the weekly supply. We actually got a little triple bottom now going on down here and a rally out of the 828 area with a very strong close today. Okay, so we're looking for at some point to join this long swing that I believe is going to start. It's a massive trade. I mentioned it quite a few times. I thought it started when we had the twins back here. We got one more test to the bottom, and now the bottom is here, it looks like. So the long is actually a wicked long, all the way up to 1100. It's one of the biggest trades I've seen in a while. It's something you definitely want to get involved, because once the grains start moving, they really go. And they just don't end. They trend very strongly. So there's one more chance, well, not one more, but the beginning of the chance is going to happen once we get to the supply zone. Okay, this thing over here, and then we need a higher low. So it's still a little bit of ways away, but it's out there. I'm throwing it out there because it's going to start soon, and I will tweet it out and stuff when it comes. So we're waiting for that. Other than that, I'm not playing with soy yet. Okay, the bonds had a little bit of a sell-off early in the week, and then some recovery, it looks like. And then we had rollover today, actually. It was rollover day for bonds on Friday. So we should be moving out to Z. So the weekly candle came out with an engulfer, but, we're counting the rollover part. You can see that we rolled over lower down and landing in some demand over here. We closed the rollover gap already, so that's gone. Right now, the call is still long for bonds. Okay, so we're going to create another higher low, I think, out of this level, and we're looking for this to continue to rally. So we actually broke through some demand over here with the rollover. You could see where the rollover occurred. It looks like we might have left just a little bit of rollover gap over here. Yeah, there's a little bit left, so let's throw that on the chart. A couple of ticks, just to know it's out there. Expect it to. Okay, there we go. So it's 3 ticks wide left, and we'll wait for this to give us an uptrend before we start our longs again. It looks like we actually I take that back. We are in an uptrend on the 60. It's just a rollover that's throwing off the. You can see the higher lows and higher highs forming over here, and this is just a rollover. So longs are allowed. Okay. And that's our bond charts. And that's it for this week. It's a recording again because of the holiday weekend, and I hope everybody enjoys it. Take your time, relax, and refresh. Pay tribute to our troops. God bless them for everything they do to protect us. And other than that, I will be in touch with you guys after the weekend, and expect a live webinar and live trading session for Wednesday from the back to the New York office. All the best. Take care. Bye. Yeah.